Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Up for the Journey. So as you saw the title, we are going to give you 5 maybe different, maybe some you've heard of, alternate ways to look for an RV site or a campsite other than
just looking at Google and finding a corporate campground.
Yeah, so for example, we stay at a lot of 55 and older resorts, and we stay at like
The Sun,
Encore sites, things like that, maybe a KOA. Maybe you want something a little bit of a different experience. And with the boom of RVing right now, a lot of places are getting booked, and it's harder and harder to find a campsite now. So we have 5 ways that aren't not necessarily traditional. A couple of these are new to us.
Yeah, we just learned about some of these ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to give you 5 ways to do, book an RV site or a campsite, even if you don't want to RV and you want to go camping.
And from no hookups to hookups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, guys, so number 1 is something that we've kind of known about when we've been RVing, but we don't personally use. We had a lot of people use it, a lot of RVers that we know, especially YouTubers that we know, use it. Our friends Ricky and Jamie and Little Max, they use it a ton because they're Boondockers. And it is the website you have all probably heard of. It's called Boondockers Welcome. Now, it is exactly what it says. Boondockers Welcome. Now, I did go through the website because I'm not familiar with it. And there is some that have hookups.
Very few.
Very few.
Yes.
And also there's some that just provide some power and water, but no dump station. So it's it ranges.
Self-sufficient.
Pretty much plan on being self-sufficient. So for example, I found one that was here on Cape Cod, Mass, and it was over in Brewster. It was a driveway or a side driveway, can handle a 35-foot RV, and it had 15 amp hookup. Which is weird.
For that big.
Which is probably just a plug. And that'll just get you running your fridge and your lights inside. You definitely don't want to run a AC and maybe a microwave. I don't know. That's not my department, so I don't know. But there's no sewage or anything like that. And every site has their own can't do and requirements, whether it be no pets, for example, no generator, things like that, kids, no kids, 1 night, 2 night, 3 nights. I mean, I just found one. So the bike shop over in Buzzards Bay.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw, yeah. You can park in the parking lot of the bike shop overnight. So after they close, but you have to leave when they open in the morning at 9 o'clock. Now you can go back the next night, but you have to go back after they close. So obviously there's no hookups there. It's just parking lot. You park, you're there. But it's a super cool spot because it's right on the Cape Cod Canal or across the street from the Cape Cod Canal, and you can ride your bike on the canal or go fishing or do whatever you want, eat food, lobster.
Now there is a $50 fee for the year for the Boondocker Welcome membership, and then you book the site through the individual owner. As Scott will show, each one has its own like web page, I guess, from
kind of like their own host page. Yeah, so when you search where you want to go in your dates, it kind of comes up with their own profile page of their site, gives you their story, their availability, and some do take donations. It may be a donation. I know Ricky was telling me one was like a $15 donation, but he told the person who was the host said, we are adding a shower house, we are adding new plumbing, so that's what it was going to. So in the end, they weren't, oh man, we got to pay 15. I mean, ultimately 15 bucks is pretty damn cheap. But they weren't like, oh, we're just gonna not pay you. But it was like, oh great, you're going to expand it, so they are adding RV sites, etc., etc. So anyways, they're Ricky and Jamie from Debtless RV. They're our Boondocker connection, man. They're mostly on Facebook. They do a lot of clips on Facebook and videos and stuff like that. So I'll put a link up here to their Facebook channel. So Boondockers Welcome. If you're self-sufficient or you need a place just to crash overnight, it is definitely worth it to check out. Anything to add?
No.
All right.
We covered everything for that one.
All right. Off to number 2. Of course, everybody's heard of it. everybody used it probably before owning an RV, and that is Airbnb. Personally, I didn't know that they had RV sites.
Yep. I mean, we used Airbnb for our traveling before we had an RV.
Yep, a lot.
And then one day I was just like, I wonder if they do RV sites. And if you scroll down in the bottom, I think it's under unique stays.
Unique stays, yep.
There's different, and there's even like RV, like sites that have RVs on them, so you could rent an RV, but it doesn't move. It stays on that person's land, and you're staying in the RV. And then they have some that's just strictly land
that you park your own RV on.
Exactly. And then, again, each listing will tell you if it's got hookups or no hookups, if it's just a piece of land somewhere by maybe like a river or something.
And if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw something that you can rent the... So when I never knew Airbnb did RV, so I kind of played around, and I'll show you the screenshot here of what I was doing. So you enter your location, your checkout date, your check-in date, and then you have to go to filters and then look for, like Renee said, unique stays, and a drop list comes up of campsites, RV sites, and whatnot. So I clicked RVs, and there was an option, and I just typed in Orlando because there was nothing here on Cape Cod for Airbnb for me to show you. So I looked up Orlando, and they actually had that you can rent the RV, and they will drive the RV into Wilderness, Camp Wilderness at Disney. So you're paying... I think I put for 5 days, you're paying $175 for 5 days. That's just for the RV. And then you got to pay the wilderness fee that you stay there. So, side note, if you do hear wind, obviously we are outside. It's finally cooled off here. We're kind of on the verge of wearing a flannel. The locals here are laughing at us Floridians because it's starting to get chilly, like 70 degrees. Today's high is 70. So, yeah, so if you hear a little bit of wind noise, sorry about that. The wind is kind of blowing. So, Airbnb, continue on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no membership fee. If you haven't used Airbnb, you just go to the website and you put your dates, the city where you're looking, and then it pops up. And again, I said you go to the unique stays, you scroll down to the RV site option, and if there's anything in that area, it's going to show you sites that you can stay at. And well, I mean, it could be a mix. It could be someone's driveway that's renting it out, or it could be an RV park that an owner owns and they're renting out their site, and that's what we do. We rent out the site on Airbnb, so you could be staying in a park with full hookups. You're just renting directly from an owner versus renting from the corporate office.
Yep.
So if you want, private, or you want RV resort, it's another good place to look because you might find something in the area you're looking for.
All right, so that was number 2, Airbnb. You've all seen it. All these links we're going to put down below. So if you miss these, we're just going to list the links down below to all of them there. Like Renee said, we do list our personal site on Airbnb as well as
number 3,
which we're going to. So number 3, here we go. Lucky number 3. Now this one was totally not on our radar.
We just learned maybe 2 months?
2 months ago. Never even heard of it. Never seen advertising for it. I don't think I've ever heard it.
I think I saw an ad. I think that's how I learned about it, like on
Facebook or something?
Instagram or Facebook, and I'm always sketchy on those when I see them, but after researching it, it's legit.
So you probably searched RV sites and...
No, I don't know. I think it just popped up. You know how like just random ads pop up?
There's nothing random.
I don't know. Anyways, we came across it.
So, go ahead. Tell them what it is.
Number 3 is HipCamp. And like we just talked about Airbnb, where Airbnb, I guess we didn't go into much detail, but it's more for like condos, houses, rentals, but then there is the RV site, as we mentioned. With HipCamp, it's strictly RVs.
Or campsites.
I mean, it's strictly campsites.
Camping, yeah.
There's no, there might be 1 or 2 like cabin-ish thing, but you're not going to find your condos and all that like you find on Airbnb. It's land. Yeah. So it's all privately owned rentals, whether it's land with no hookups all the way up to an RV park with full hookups, and the owner, like us, owns the lot, and we rent it out. So you got, depending on what you want, if you want to be in the woods and you want to be private, HipCamp is a great place to look because there's a ton of, well, depending on your location, there's a ton of just private land where you just you boondock and you're on their land, and you pay a nightly fee.
Or you don't boondock.
Well, if you've got hookups, yeah. But it just depends on what you book. There's no fee to use the HipCamp, like no membership fee, I should say. There's no membership fee, but then you pay a nightly fee like you would Airbnb. And each listing's got all the info, what amenities are on that site, you know, what's allowed, what's not allowed, the pricing.
Yeah.
You can see the availability calendar, so you can see what dates are available, and then you just book online. The same thing you do with Airbnb. You know, you put your dates in, you book with the owner, and then you and the owner work out the details from there.
Yep. And I actually have the website pulled up here. It says find yourself outside. So it's definitely geared towards being outside. And it says discover and book tent camping, RV parks, cabins, tree houses, and glamping. You can rent a tent, or in this case it was so big it was a yurt, outdoors. But I just clicked on one and it was a spot for an RV, and it didn't have a lot of hookups or, you know, and whatnot. It just had a spot for you to park, but you had amazing views of the Grand Tetons. Now there's also a paid advertisement that you can rent in one of the state parks there, but I saw for the state park there's no reservations. It's first come, first serve. So you have that. Now that's the Grand Tetons. It's a national monument, or it's a national park. It's super popular, so it's going to be busy. But if you're looking for something out of the hustle and bustle, and you want to get away, be by yourself, or experience something new other than your standard RV type atmosphere, HipCamp is definitely the way to go. We do rent the majority of times our lot on HipCamp. Kind of a quick funny story. The morning, it was Saturday morning when we first put our ad on HipCamp. First thing in the morning, you hit enter. You're like, hey, look at the website. What does it look? Okay, we did it. You hit enter. By that evening at 5 o'clock, 5:30, we already had someone making a reservation for our lot in Florida. So it has been very lucrative. It has been profitable, I guess we should say.
Yeah, it's still a growing website, I think, too.
But at the same time, it's campers and RVers specific. So the people who want to go camping and who want to go RVing and not just do the KOA and all your big traditional type RVing camping, they're going to HipCamp because people are now wanting a different experience. Of course, with this whole COVID thing and the RV boom, people are wanting to get away. HipCamp is definitely providing that, but it's also, I mean, I know while you were out shopping this morning, I kind of looked around. I mean, it's definitely creating its own little outdoor camping community with that vibe that's super cool, that's out there, that are getting people who normally wouldn't get out, go out.
I think too, we've been heard this from a few people, is they want to go to like some of the big parks and they can't get in because either they can't get in or their size. They'll find
their size of their RV.
They'll find a park close by, and then they're tent camping or something in a park that's by the destination they want to get to. So HipCamp could be another way if you want to, I don't know, like the Grand Canyon or something that's super popular. That maybe I know out west you can't. Your size limited on a lot of the national parks.
So if you have a huge RV, like if you have a big Class A, or like us, we tow a 30 or just under 40 foot with our travel trailer, we can't go park in a national park like Yosemite or
like
where
those
does
kind
Shayna
of
live? Where does Shayna?
White.
No, the ones in Montana. Where Shayna lives.
Glacier
Glacier National.
National.
Sorry, my daughter lives just outside of Glacier National. I can't remember.
So people are parking outside wherever they can find availability, and then renting something or tent camping in these national parks so they can still get the same experience.
We are going to put a promo code. I'm going to list it here down below, but also down in the link. If you've never registered on HipCamp to be a user, we have a user code for you. If you register, it's going to be Scott EE 8277A. And I'm going to put that down here. I know it's not the easiest thing to remember, but when you register, if they say who referred you, just type in that Scott EE 8277A code. It's just kind of like a referral code. And also too, if you do own an RV site, or you think you want to list your RV to rent out, use the same code to register as a host. And that's it. Oh, so
the guests will get $10 off any first booking wherever they book.
That's right. So yeah, like if you register and you use our code, you automatically get $10 off your first stay. All right, guys, what are we on? Number 4?
Yep.
Number 4. Where were you?
Just around.
Lily. All right, guys, number 4, and we've all heard of this site. Everybody knows this site, but I feel it's growing and people are utilizing it more for that unique experience. And of course, we're talking about HarvestHost. Harvest, we've used it a few times and it's been fun. If you've never used HarvestHost, it's basically kind of like Boondockers Welcome, but instead of staying on someone's property like a house or a driveway, I'm gonna wait till this gust of wind passes. You're staying at either a country club, a golf course, a museum, a brewery, a winery, a distillery, a farm. There's so many options where you stay.
It's a business, in other words. A business.
Yeah, you're staying at a business. So it's really, really cool, and there's always a unique experience to be had with HarvestHost. Now, with HarvestHost, there is a membership fee of...
It's $99 for what they call the classic membership, or it's $139 where basically it's a classic, plus you get an option to stay at golf courses as well.
So,
like, in the parking lot of the golf course.
In the parking lot, yeah, not on like hole number 4.
No.
So... yeah, if you're golfers, and of course you pay that fee, and it is free to stay wherever you stay, but they do ask that you patronize that business. So if you golf, you know, they ask that you either pay for a round if you happen to get there early, or at least, you know, grab a drink or a dinner at the clubhouse, or buy a pack of golf balls, something just to patronize them to say thank you. That's kind of what we do. That's why it's kind of fun to stay at wineries, breweries, and distilleries, because it's no problem to patronize that business.
I think you end up spending more money than you would a night at a campsite, though.
Whatever. No, you spend the money you were normally going to spend, but you're getting free rent.
Times 2 or 3.
Whatever. So HarvestHost is great. We personally don't use it anymore just because now that things are lightening up with the COVID restrictions, we're back to work, and we now have a schedule set all the way till next year, and we know where we need to be for how long and what days and what not, and we have a schedule that we kind of have to keep. So unfortunately, there's not always a HarvestHost, especially HarvestHosts are usually one-night stays if you're on the road.
And they're meant more, I think, too, for like, we're traveling this week, hey, we call, because you got to call the host to make arrangements. You kind of call and make arrangements like, hey, we're going to be coming in town on Friday, you know, do you have a spot for us? Where we travel and book 8 to a year out. So when I was calling them
8 months to a year
8 months out, 9 months out, saying, hey, we're going to be in town in 8 months, you know, can we get a spot? They were kind of like, would you want to call back maybe a little bit closer?
Like in 8 months?
Yeah, so for us, it really, that's part of the reason too why we didn't use it, is because we like to know everything's booked, and just kind of that, what if we need to travel that week and there's nothing available for us, and now we plan on staying at HarvestHost and there's nothing available, so...
Yeah, we're not freestylers.
No, it's meant for people that kind of just travel within that week, that call and make arrangements.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't have any plans and you're just driving and you say, hey, we're tired, you can look up HarvestHost and say, let's pull off the road, there's one here. Call them up. Hey, do you have a spot for the night? We're passing through. Yep, there you go. Yeah. And then the next day you keep on driving.
It's not meant for long-term planners like
that.
Yeah,
we're kind of structured and scheduled like that. So HarvestHost, again,
great.
That's a great way. Again, it's mostly boondocking. You may get an extension cord.
Very rare.
Very rare.
They plan on being self-sustained. Like, you don't
self-sustained, yeah.
You're not going to get probably water, power. I mean, if you do, it's very rare.
Yeah, very rare. Like, you may get a hose to fill up your tank, but don't count on it. All right, so we're on the 5th and final one. Number 5, and number 5 is something that we all use pretty much on a daily basis, and that's on Facebook. The utilization of Facebook and Facebook groups. You know, we belong to a lot of groups. Obviously, we own a Grand Design, so we belong to a Grand Design group for Grand Designs and 315 RLTSs specifically, things like that. So when we were looking to buy a lot, we searched Facebook and we found a group. There's 2 groups here, and I'm going to put the screenshot on the pages so you can look at the spelling. It's RV Lots for Sale or Rent BO, and then there's another one that says RV Sites for Sale or Rent by Owner. So it's 2 different ones. The first one has 10,000 members. The second one has 5,000 members. So some of them overlap because they just try to list as many places as possible. But you can go on that page and there is just listings everywhere, whether it be for a 55 and older commuter. Now, you can't really sort through it.
No, that's
There's
the
no
downfall.
Scheduling, nothing like that. It's just whoever posts goes to the next one.
Doesn't the groups have like a search where you
There
can,
is a search, so you can type Florida, or you can type like...
if you know maybe a certain park. Now, these are probably going to be more your parks. Then you're
Yes.
probably going to find private land. These are people that own a lot somewhere in a park.
RV park. Some of them are 55 and older. Some of them are just at another resort or something like that. So if you are in the 55 and older and you want a home base, this would definitely be the spot for you to go look. Also, too, they do rent spots out. So this is another utilization tool for looking for a rental. Again, it's not very user-friendly, searchable, so you just kind of got to scroll through. Use the search button and type in Ocala, Florida. Like if you want to go to Disney, type in Orlando, Florida, and you're just going to have to scroll through and see what happens. But
I think for long term, this is definitely a good site, because a lot of people are looking to rent their sites longer than just like a day or a week or something.
Yeah, definitely.
There are some that will say, you know, weekly, nightly rentals available, but it's more your monthly. If you're going somewhere for the month, this is a good place to look.
RV lots for sale or rent by owner or BO on your search. Just do your Facebook search and you'll see the groups that come up. And that's it, guys. That was 5 unique ways or different ways other than Google searching. So anyways, yeah, guys, there is mooch docking if you know someone with a driveway. We're staying in a driveway. 5 unique ways. Some unique, some new to us, some maybe new to you. You never know.
Like I said, it's more private. You're working privately with the owner. You're not booking through a Sun property or an Encore property. You're working with the owner directly. Yep.
And obviously, like if you look at your Boondockers Welcome, HipCamp, Airbnb, that money is going to the owner of that, going locally as opposed to a big corporation like your Encore, your Sun properties, etc., etc. All depends on the style of your camping. You know, we're always staying at resorts, not resorts, but we're always staying at campgrounds just because.
Hookups.
Yeah, hookups. We're not boondockers, let's just say. Just because of the nature of our work where we have to be in specific geographical areas and for a certain period of time. So, guys, that's it. I hope you found that informational. I hope you found it useful. Again, down below, all the links are there for every single one. And again, if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below.
Or if you have any other
suggestions
things that we're not aware of, because we're always looking for new ways to be able to stay in place, especially when things are getting booked up. I mean, we always need to have backup. Where can we find a place to stay? Yep.
And it's, you know, we're usually at a place for 5 to 6 days.
And a lot of your apps, like your TripWizard, RV Parky, those are going to be like Google. They're going to pull up your corporate
Google stuff.
So these are going to help you find stuff that probably wouldn't be something you'd find with Google. Yeah,
you're not going to find
someone's driveway on Google.
Mr. Jones's driveway for free, you know, so you have that action. So yeah, that's a very good point. So guys, thanks again. Make sure you hit that like button. Always hit that subscribe button, because we're getting this close to making our somewhat big announcement.
Waiting, literally.
We're literally waiting. We're counting down that we're waiting for paperwork. I guess let's just say we're waiting for paperwork for
the new curtains.
Yeah, your curtains. I'm not having that. Guys, thanks again for watching. We'll see you out on the road.
You're tuned to the station that plays the best music in town.
Everything you use must be fresh.